Recently, I genuinely feared that my photography career might be over, and honestly, I think it is. So today, I'm going to share the biggest lessons from 7 years as a full-time photographer, why this chapter is ending, and the exciting opportunities I see coming next. Hi, I'm Adam and welcome back to First Man Photography. And before we get going today, this video is sponsored by Squarespace. So if you need a domain name, a website or an online store, make your next move with Squarespace. So recently, as you do, I've been mulling over things with my career and all that kind of stuff and realised that I'm not sure I can call myself a professional photographer anymore, partly because I just don't think I'm taking enough pictures. In the past, I walked around everywhere with my camera all the time, taking pictures of whatever. As time's gone on, which is I think a natural thing for photographers, is I've niched down into just doing landscape photography. And it's a natural thing for landscape photographers not to have a shutter count as high as others, like wedding photographers or wildlife photographers or sports photographers. But I just don't think I take enough pictures anymore to even justify calling myself a professional landscape photographer. There's probably 3 or 4 key moments that will highlight what I'm talking about and why this is the sort of conclusion I've come to. So, number 1 is I'm not really chasing or even attempting to pick up those classic photographer jobs where you're actually getting paid to take photographs. That's not something I've done for ages. I used to do wedding photography. That was where I first made money in photography. And I think there's still lots and lots of opportunity for people to do that. But I stopped. And that was key point number 1, or key moment number 1. I stopped because I stopped enjoying it. And I don't know, I think life is too short to be doing things and jobs that you don't love if you can create an opportunity to not do it. So I sort of worked up enough of landscape photography to be able to pull back on the wedding photography, and then I stopped it. The second key moment was much later when I was a full-time landscape photographer, when I stopped doing workshops. I have since started them up again, but then I stopped again because I think there's some people who are really suited to it. Someone like Mally Davis, for example, who is just such a great character. And if you go on one of his workshops, you're going to have a great time. The rebookings he's getting seem to prove that. Spending time with that guy doing landscape photography is one of the most inspiring things you can do. So that would be my recommendation if you want workshops, but I don't do them anymore. I did tours for a while, I can't say that word, for a while with Light and Land, Charlie Waite's company. And that was fun while it lasted, but then it sort of fizzled out as well, partly because I wasn't kind of motivated enough to organise my own things. So that's partly my fault. The third moment was a couple of years ago, maybe 2 or 3 years ago now, when I was in my studio and I built the Raw Room subscription service, which I had created a masterclass workshop thing online. At first you could buy that, but then I spun it into a subscription model. That was doing really well. I was creating new content for the Raw Room as well. And then I negotiated a deal with a big company and some of the top photographers in the industry to create masterclass courses that would sit on the Raw Room and then be sold separately by this company. It's a bit of a content share deal. And my idea was to kind of create like a masterclass. Have you seen the masterclass website or something? There's a couple of other photography ones that do it. I think it's Scott Kelby does one. But it was to create a UK-based, landscape photography-based sort of masterclass platform. And we negotiated a deal, verbally agreed everything. I then went and did a load of work to get a lawyer to draw up contracts. It was going to be fun. I was going to be out there with some of the best photographers in the game, doing landscape photography, making masterclass videos with them. And it was going to be beautiful. It was, I still think we would have been pushing 5 or 6 figures over what could have been amazing. Sadly, the deal fell through right at the last minute because the other parties involved, I don't know what happened, got nervous, egos and personalities got in the way. I don't know. But it fell through. And I was kind of gutted about it. And at that point, and it felt like something had changed because I'd always had this ambition in the photography space to kind of do something exciting, do something different. And that was my play. And after that, I kind of lost a lot of energy for it. And I think my ambition fizzled out a little bit as well. And I thought, like, I'm just going to sort of fall back on doing the things I love in the way that I want, and I suppose work alone to some extent. And that's what I've done ever since, and it's been great. I just wish I'd had collaborated with a few more people because that's exciting as well. But there has been some good ones in there as well. That's number 3. That's number 3 key moment. I think number 4 is what I've been talking about on the last few videos with the destruction in value of the final photograph, particularly in the digital space. I've said a lot of times now that the value of digital content will always trend to zero. And I think we're seeing that play out. Now, I made that point on last week's video where I showed off some new AI thing that creates images, and they're scarily real. Some people saying that they still look like AI, they still don't look real, but my goodness, they're so much closer than the original AI images. A lot of people who are not photographers won't be able to tell the difference already, and they're now similar enough to devalue the digital images of proper photographers who've gone to a lot of effort and work to create those images. My feeling, or what a lot of people were saying, is that that value doesn't affect them because they just do photography for themselves. I'm not certain that's right. I think the value destruction in photography is going to have an effect on everybody, particularly young people. Because when I was younger, I think, or when everybody's younger, you're kind of looking to grow something. And I think that thing is your capital. You're trying to grow, create a future for yourself and whatever future family you might have. And it's about capital accumulation to do that. And that's what incentivizes us, I think, subconsciously or not, to take a certain pathway. Even if you do something that's meaningful and almost like a vocation, like I did, becoming a police officer, you still want to get paid for it. And it still has to be a good deal to set you and your family up for the future. That's part of the reason why I left the police, because they screwed us, basically, and changing the pension and contracts and stuff like that. Anyway, that's another story. I don't think when I was younger, I would have driven so hard into trying to make a photography career if I knew at the time that the final image, like it is now, is virtually worthless because of abundance. Scarcity creates value and abundance destroys it. And we're now in a place where there's just an absolute abundance of great photographs, great landscape photographs. And then on top of that, you've got AI now creating these images with almost no work, apart from the use of a bit of electricity. And I think that is gonna eventually feed into and affect amateurs as much as it does professionals like me. It definitely affected my motivation for getting out there and creating new images. Because the other thing is, I don't think there's anything wrong with wanting some attention for the work you create. It's fine if you create work just for yourself, but I don't think there's anything wrong with wanting people to appreciate and enjoy your art, or at least have them react to it in some way. It'd be a bit like a band playing a gig to an empty room. It's fun, to practice, isn't it? But eventually you want some sort of performance. And it reminds me of the Ansel Adams quote, the negative being the score and the print being the performance. We'll come on to printing a little bit more because I still think that's a massive part of the future of photography, if not the key part. My life seems to go in, like, my career, my job and stuff goes in 7-year cycles. I then did 2 cycles in the police. I did 14 years in the police. And now I've done professional photography for 7 years. So it may just be that I subconsciously want a change because I'm in that 7-year cycle. With that, there's just sort of no ego. I'm happy with the way things are. And I've always said, me and Henry Turner were talking about this last time we were out. We both sort of felt that, like, we love it. We love what we're doing. We really appreciate that everybody watches and the kind of plaudits we get and the attention we get. It's all great. But neither of us sort of take it for granted, and we'd be fine if it all suddenly went away. And neither of us have got any problem going back to doing a job like stacking shelves. I'd happily go back and work in a supermarket again and stack shelves or throw pallets around in a warehouse, because whilst I enjoy everything I've got, that's not what I'm pursuing. I'm pursuing happiness, fulfillment, meaning, I suppose. And even though, like, stacking shelves might not do that, I can just park my brain while I'm doing that and then get that from somewhere else. Maybe just doing photography as an amateur again. I don't know. I think there may be some future in that. What I'm going to do, well, actually, we'll talk about that in a minute. But I need to let you know about today's sponsor, which is Squarespace. Because in my opinion, Squarespace is just the best place for photographers to build their own website. And the main reason for this is it's just so easy to do. You can start with one of their beautiful templates, or they have now what they call Design Intelligence, which is their AI system, which takes all the work out of it and makes creating your website even easier. It can help you create a custom template, or it will write some copy for you and things like that, because sometimes the words are the hardest part of creating the content for a website. So you put a few of your pictures on there, some of your words, and then before you know it, you will have a unique and beautiful looking website. Yeah, it's just it's exciting seeing that thing come to life. And you can start with a simple gallery where your images will look big, bold and beautiful. And it's just a much better way to share your images with the world than it is on social media, where they crush and compress and make your images look silly and people will scan past them as quickly as a flash. So having that really nice corner of the internet to display your work is just really, really satisfying. Squarespace will then grow with you as well. So if you want to start selling things like we've just been talking about, like books or prints or products or services or anything you can think of, you can do that just as easily on Squarespace. So hit the link down below or go to squarespace.com and you can start a free trial. And then if you like what you've created when the trial ends, use the offer code FIRSTMAN. That's right. Tell them that I sent you there. You get a nice new website. I get the credit for sending you there and they get a new customer. It all wins. Everybody wins. And it's a beautiful thing. Right. Let me get my notes back up. The truth is, though, is that in terms of our relationship, I don't think much is going to change, because I think what I'm talking about is actually how I've been living anyway for the last couple of years. I think the future of professional photography is not going to be to pigeonhole people as a this or a that, or even just a professional photographer. That eventually might not exist. I think there's still going to be opportunities for photographers that shoot live events like sports or weddings or just any live event where the people there are the story and you want someone there to capture it. But an overall professional photographer who's making a full-time living from doing photography, that may not be a thing anymore. And that's kind of what I'm talking about, is that I almost feel daft now when I tell people that I'm a professional photographer. And I've never liked pigeonholing myself, but I don't really feel like that anymore. I think this is where the future of photography is going, is that photography will just become one element of some sort of multimedia creation or enterprise, which is really what I've been doing for a long time now. It's about photography, it's about video, it's about sound, it's about storytelling, it's about creating different products, it's about creating different services, it's about education and inspiration. I don't like the phrase content creator, but I think that's what it is. I think as time goes on and more people and young people want to do it, that will become a much more well-established and respected job. Because in mainstream media now, when you see them talking about content creators, on YouTube particularly, there's always an element of superiority from that story, sort of punching down at these YouTubers and content creators, and worst of all, influencers. I think that will become a bit more credible doing what I'm talking about and doing what I do, basically, and mixing in lots of different things, including photography, into what you do. On last week's video, I got some amazing comments. There was about 400 of them in the end. And one of the overriding things that came up again and again when I was talking about this AI stuff is people were saying that the final product doesn't matter as much. It's about, the photography for them is about the experience of doing it. It's about the journey. And I've been talking about that for years. Out on the hill, looking at an amazing sunset always makes me think that. And I've made so many videos where I've sort of said that. And I totally agree. And for myself, moving forward, that's what I'm going to continue to do. I do also have another couple of other little projects that are not photography related that I think it's just sort of sensible to attempt at the moment. But my photography journey is certainly not over. I just think I'm going to stop saying that I'm a professional photographer. That's all. I'm still going to go out there. I'm still going to take pictures and I'm still going to share that journey and the adventure. But even this channel might focus a little bit more on that. It might be a story of the journey or the adventure, and I might talk a bit less about the actual photography. In the past, I've sort of stood in front of the camera and talked for 5 minutes about the settings and the composition. I might not do that anymore. I might. I don't know. The videos might be longer. I might just do everything, stick it all in there. I haven't quite decided yet. Please make sure you are subscribed as well, because I'm going to be doing a lot more about printing as well, because I still think it's still one of my favourite things about photography is creating prints, putting them on your wall, selling them when you can. I'm still going to do that. I just don't sell anywhere near enough to even make a dent in the amount of income I need each month. But when you do sell one, it feels great. And I'm going to continue to do that. I've still got my framing video to make. I've got another printer comparison video coming up. So do make sure you are subscribed. I'm just sort of, despite the fact I think in reality my photography career is over, I'm super excited about the future. Because the world we live in now, it's a crazy one. But my goodness, there's opportunities out there. You don't need permission anymore. Just go and do the thing you want to do. And that is going to be my motivation moving forward. And if it all comes crashing down, then I've had a good time and I'll go and work in a supermarket. No problem with that whatsoever. Like last week, I really need to hear from you. We can go forward as photographers doing what we love and sharing the experience. I think that's a beautiful thing. So let me know what you think down below, and I'll see you again very, very soon. That's all I've got for now. See you.